Hello, hello. Welcome to Courage Becomes Her, where we connect and share real life stories. I'll talk with women whom I love and am inspired by, women who are experiencing life just like you and me. I'm excited for us to gather together and cultivate confidence, courage, and joy in life and work.
Fear started to really lead me. And so I feel like I kind of got to a breaking point. And so the nagging then, in hindsight, I could see how long it had been really driving me and then turned into fear driving me. And it just wasn't sustainable anymore.
That was Erin Davis, and I cannot wait to tell you about this conversation with Erin. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Erin. So Erin and I have known one another for about 30 years, and I am just thrilled to have this conversation with her today. She is a tenured brand strategist with a marketing and communications business that has successfully served clients for over 15 years. And she is honored to serve women entrepreneurs by helping you to build authentic brands so that you can grow your business with clarity and confidence. And I'm excited for us to dive into that more with her today. So Erin is a California gal. She's a married mom of 4, and she and her husband and their 2 younger kids live on a ranch on California's Central Coast near where I currently live. And she loves to have the opportunity to walk their property with their dogs while she's praying and listening to podcasts. So in this conversation today, we kind of pick up a little bit where in last week's conversation with Lisa, we talked about this leap of faith to not move forward with a business idea because it wasn't resonating with Lisa's heart and where she was at. And in today's conversation with Erin, we talk about how she evolves and pivots and redesigns and grows her already established business because her heart just wasn't in it anymore. And there was this need, this necessity to rethink what she was doing and to rethink what she was offering and to make changes to her successful business. So in this conversation today, we talk about her fears, her limiting beliefs, how those were driving her and how she identified those and worked through those to move to a place of being true to herself and to evolving her business to align with who she authentically is. And you'll hear kind of that evolution as well as where that leaves her today of serving women entrepreneurs through building authentic brands. I love in this conversation, you know me, I love talking about community. And in this conversation, Erin talks about one of the biggest revelations that she's had over the last couple of years is the sense of feeling alone and how this shift, this redesign and growth in her business is also a means of deepening community in her life and creating community for other women as well. So I know that you are going to just love and be inspired and encouraged by this conversation today with Erin. Erin, thank you so much for joining me today for this conversation of Courage Becomes Her. I'm really glad and grateful for you to join me.
I'm very excited and honored that you asked me to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, let's get to know you a little bit. So first off, where is home?
Paso Robles, California. I grew up here, but moved away for probably 20 years and lived in various places, Montana, Sacramento, and then in the Valley. And then my husband and our 2 kids that are still at home moved back here about 2.5 years ago.
Nice. So good. I love it. I love it. And obviously, we've had lots of topics lately of talking about the unusual weather that we have been having, and you've had a front seat to that for sure.
Yeah, we moved back to his parents' ranch, and so, us Californians are not used to this weather, and for the amount of wind and rain that we've had has been quite an adventure,
Yes.
to
Yeah,
say the least.
absolutely.
Lots of mud, animals.
Okay, so that might not be making us laugh at the moment or filling our cup. So, what is making you laugh or filling your cup right now?
I am really blessed with, I don't feel like I am naturally funny, but my kids and my husband are naturally funny. And sometimes what they're saying is shouldn't be funny or I shouldn't laugh at it, but they get me belly laughing every day. Every
Oh,
day.
that's
And
good.
sometimes I just have to go, that might have been a little crass or something, but gosh, that was funny.
Oh, that's good.
So
No,
yeah, they keep me laughing and that comic relief is important.
it is. It absolutely is for sure. So good. All right. What was the best movie or show that you've watched in the last year or so?
I would probably say show wise, probably Ted Lasso.
Uh
Um,
huh.
I just loved it and it was uplifting and funny and the lead is just quirky but just so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an easy, entertaining watch. So my husband and I watched that together. It was fun.
Good. It is a good one. And there's a new season.
Yes, I saw that and I was like, oh, when's it coming out?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're 2 episodes in now. So that's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about first concert that you ever went to?
This will probably like somewhat show my age, even though it was past my time when it came out. But my cousin and I went to see the Beach Boys with our babysitters at the Paso Robles Mid State Fair.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had forgotten that they had come there a
Yeah,
couple of occasions, I think. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a
very
big
fun.
deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
super fun. All right. How about a current obsession in any genre?
So usually I feel like this time of year, I'm maybe like a lot of people, I'm getting into spring and I want to get in my yard and I'm ready to get out in the sun. But as we were talking about, we have very little sun and it's just wet and mucky outside. And now that I'm fully in my mid 40s, my it's like I live in this body that I don't know anymore. So I am very obsessed right now with like women's health and who the heck am I in this body? And so I have like a couple women that I'm reading either their books or following
Mm,
their content and
yeah.
just trying to figure out the new normal in this skin that I'm in.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Same, same.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
true. It's such a
um,
thing. I think there's going to be a future series on Courage Becomes Her about all of that because it is definitely something that many of us are navigating.
hormonal health. I think that's like my new like unplanned obsession, mostly
Okay.
for, how to navigate life now.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I
So,
like that. Yep.
yeah.
That's a good topic for us for sure. So wonderful. All right. How about Enneagram and love language?
I am a huge Enneagram fan. And as you know, I had to read The Road Back to You like 3 times. I read Richard Rohr's book,
Yep.
done all the things to try and figure out what my number was. And so, what was it? Like a year plus ago, I figured out I was a 9, which kind of spoke into why I couldn't figure out what my number was. So
Yeah.
I'm a 9 wing 1. And my love language definitely first is words of affirmation. And I think probably a close second would be time,
Hmm.
quality
Hmm.
time.
Yeah. Good. That's so good. Yeah. The Enneagram it's such a journey to,
Yeah.
for many of us to really figure ourselves out and to wrestle through that. And, from our conversations, like I very much thought that I was a totally different number and had myself convinced for a couple of years. So it's really interesting to go through that process and that journey. So
I love that it doesn't, I feel like personality tests can sometimes give you a label that then you
yes.
live within. But I
Yeah.
really feel like the Enneagram helps you communicate better. And
Yes.
especially if your either your colleagues or your spouse or your children's
Yeah.
numbers, like I feel like that's really helpful because I've diagnosed all my children now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It's super helpful, especially with children, for sure.
Understanding their motivations is
Mm.
really, really helpful.
Yeah. Oh, so good. All right. I know you love books just like I do. So, what's a book that has transformed your life?
So, as I thought about this question, as I told you, it's been really hard to narrow it down. So, I've chosen two books.
Yeah.
And I chose them because I actually developed this little mantra to kind of help myself in hard times from both of these books. And one of them,
Mm.
a lot of your guests have mentioned, The Hiding Place.
Mm.
And then the second one is It's Not Supposed to Be This Way by Lisa Turkhurst.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that stood out to me in The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom, and actually one of your other guests mentioned this, was when they move in the camps, they move to a different barracks and it's filled with fleas. And the one sister is just kind of really heartbroken that this was their new situation where there was hope of it maybe being better. But then the fleas keep the guards away so that they can kind of create their own little community and pray and worship together. And then Lisa Turkhurst's book, she, is going through a certain process or circumstances in her life. And she really talks about how her life was just kind of like crumbled to dust. Everything that, held her and all the circumstances, her relationships were just dust. But how God, dust is one of his kind of like favorite creation tools. And so I have repeated to myself many times that fleas and dust, dust and fleas, Father, help me to remember these so I can remember to be grateful.
Oh,
And
I love that.
I can be remade even when things, fall apart.
That's so beautiful, Erin. I love that. Appreciate you letting us get to know you and sharing some about yourself. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm. So we're in this taking a leap of faith conversation, and you and I have had just the wonderful opportunity to navigate your most recent leap of faith together over the last year. And we'll talk through kind of what it looks like, for you, but really kind of from my perspective of journeying with you through it a little bit has been just this leap of faith to evolve your business, grow your business, pivot your business, redesign your business. Like we can, use a number of different words in there. And I think what I so appreciate about you and this process that you've been through is that you've been so diligent about it and so thoughtful. You've had a successful business for 15 plus years, and to just get to the place of being able to say, like, this is not entirely working, or I want to do things differently. Like, that's a really hard decision to make when you've been doing things the way that you have for so long. So let's maybe start there from the standpoint of like, how did you know that something either wasn't working or that it was time to make a change?
Well, I think some of it began when we moved. I didn't know, will the move create the refresh that I'd kind of been sensing I needed, outside of kind of the details of COVID. But I had been getting increasingly tired, run down, kind of on my last leg emotionally, time capacity to serve clients, and just my heart wasn't in it anymore. All the things that had previously got me going, they weren't working anymore. And because of COVID, I had some client changes. And then because of, I'll call it my good work, a client sold their business. And so it was a combination of where I was at personally and mentally, even physically, just the exhaustion of the rate of work, and then the move and hoping that that would be the shift, and then the move not really being the shift, right? There's a newness with a move. And I was moving home, which was wonderful, closer to family, etc., and to such a beautiful spot here. But those things that I thought would fix it, if you will,
Yeah.
didn't. And so a change in my client structure, a move not being the answer, and just this nagging feeling of no longer being in the right place
Yeah.
created, I guess, an opportunity to rethink what I was doing. I knew I didn't want to not work, and that was both from my heart and from a financial perspective. And so it was time. It was time to rethink what I was doing. So it wasn't sustainable anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's so good. What I think, I mean, just the fact that you listen to the nagging feeling to me, like, is such a big thing. Like, because it's so easy for us to have the nagging feeling or to have kind of the warning signs, but to ignore them. So I don't, for you, like, what made you heed the nagging and actually like pay attention to it versus just, oh, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to shove it in the closet. I'm, not going to think about it and just, press on, if you will.
I think I had been doing that for a long time. I think I had been pressing on and pushing through, and I guess I think the buzzword is hustle and, get scrappy and just work a little harder. I thought for a while just offering more services or doing more things that I had the capability to do, but didn't have the passion to do, really, in honesty, didn't have the time to do for clients. As my client structure changed and move and these things, fear started to really lead me. And so I feel like I kind of got to a breaking point. And so the nagging, then in hindsight, I could see how long it had been really driving me, and then turned into fear driving me. And it just wasn't sustainable anymore. And so all of that kind of combination led me to, I would almost say, a forced shift that, with your help and others, reframed that to be an opportunity of, okay, where are we at? What do we need to maintain to be able to take the next leap that's more sustainable and more aligned who I am, where I'm at, and, what I have to offer.
Hello, friends. Super, super quick. I know that several of you are thinking to yourself, I think I might need to do some redesign of my business. It might be time for some change. And I would love the opportunity to partner with you through that, just as I did and have with Erin through hers. And I want to remind you that for the month of March, just a few short days, I am offering 1 month of free coaching if you do 6 months of coaching with me. So please reach out to me, Laurel@laurelemry.com, and please take advantage of that offer before it goes away. I think I've said before, I don't know if I will ever do that again. So I want to make sure that you take advantage of that while you are working on your leap of faith, whether it is a evolve, redesign, a side hustle starting, or navigating something new and different and a change in your life. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. The fear component is such a real thing, and that has come up in several of the conversations in this Leap of Faith series that we've been in. How were you able to know and name that it was fear that was driving you? Like, what helped to create that awareness?
Well, I would say it was two things in particular. And if I can just be so transparent to say that it was my work with you that helped define things, and prayer alongside that.
Yeah.
I think most of my adult life, I have faith, and my love and relationship with God has been a mainstay in my life. And I feel like my activity in terms of building that relationship has really been centered around Bible studies, structured Bible studies. And so in this period of time, prayer and time in prayer, more conversational, more communal, was very transformative. And then I think the parallel track to that was my work with you to take my thoughts and put them on paper. As maybe ugly as some of those thoughts were, putting them on paper and admitting out loud what those thoughts were was absolutely necessary to recognizing where I was at and what was driving me. And I realized I was living into all those limiting beliefs, basically a long list of fears.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a reframe for them yet. So I feel like it was really about time and defining and repeating so I didn't forget. So those fears became a red flag because I recognized them now. So when they came, I was like, oh, that is a thought, that is a limiting belief that I don't actually have to live into that. I can reframe that. And so our work together was a lot of reframing that in ways that I could practically add that into my life. And so all of that work was really a solid foundation to create the next chapter, the next level, the next evolution of where I am at.
Yeah. Oh, so good and so beautiful. And I wasn't intentionally leading you to that. So
I know you weren't.
But I love that that's where you went with it, because I think that like through our conversations, that really, like coming back to your comment a moment ago of sustainability, like that is what was keeping you from having a sustainable business and being in a place where you could be looking at it as a calling and having it really motivate you and inspire you and encourage you, and so I love, it was hard work. And I think like you alluded to, like no way that you could have rushed through that process. And I think that's something that is hard for all of us. Like we feel like, okay, if I just do ABC, check these boxes, do this process, that all of a sudden it's just going to magically come together and whatnot. And I think there is like, it's different for each and every one of us of what that looks like, how much time it takes, the processes that we need to go through. And you leaned into that pretty amazingly, pretty beautifully. So
I think one of the things that is the biggest differentiator now and what helped that is the alone part. I feel like in my business up until, the last 2 years, it has been very much a solopreneur journey. Not completely by design, just that's the way it was. And I had a limiting belief that if I wanted something, I needed to do it. I needed to have all the capacity and the skills and the resources and all the things to make something happen, or I don't know, it wasn't meant for me. And so I, recognizing that I was kind of at this breaking point and, during doing work with you and bringing others in was an absolute game changer. So just stopping the belief that doing life and doing business alone was a strategy for success, that it's not. I am a firm believer that both as women, as humans, life is not intended to be done or lived alone. And I had gotten comfortable doing alone. And I have subs come in and help me and I have support, but it's that background foundational piece that I was doing alone. And I reached my max capacity or my breaking point. And I guess that would be a third thing, is the eliminating alone.
Yeah, that's so good. That's one of, I think, the most important things for women who are in this, season of life of still having kids at home and just all of the busyness of like figuring out, how do I navigate business life, work life, normal life, family life, mom life. And one of the first things to go in that busyness is community. And that's, obviously something that you and I have spent a lot of time talking about, but that I've tried to, bring into this conversation through each of the Courage Becomes Her episodes, is that we simply can't. We cannot do it alone. And it seems like it's so much easier to do it alone because time is limited. But yeah, we move ourselves to such an unhealthy place when we try to navigate it alone. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. And that is part of what creates that sustainability factor in the business area, professional area, as well as other areas of life. So
Absolutely. I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I'd had stayed, even if I had the same ideas, even if I had designed the same structure and framework that I have now, it would not be the same. It wouldn't have the same, I don't know, magic or goodness or realness or authenticity without the collaborative support that I've had.
yeah. So you've alluded to it, but one of the things that has been a big realization for you is this idea that your business is certainly meant to serve your clients, but it's also meant to serve you as well, which I think is something that we have a tendency to very easily ignore. Like we think it's all client focused and it feels selfish or self-centered if we're, thinking about our needs in it as well. So talk a little bit about like that aspect of this journey for you, because that definitely has been something you've wrestled with really well.
Well, I would say that what I learned in all my years to now in serving clients in branding and marketing was that I had not served myself with those same strategies and skills. I didn't apply any of those to myself. Mm-hmm. And that, coupled with this kind of ignoring of what my own capacity and what my own needs and what my own gifts and what my own passions were, because I do think those are like instilled, those are God-given, and those are sustainable, those things. So by ignoring that stuff and not applying all this stuff that I knew that I was giving to clients, that was kind of the marriage that is where I'm at now. So creating this authentic component and then matching that with the skills and the kind of the outward expression of what I know and what I'm good at doing is, I guess, the change or the difference in how I'm moving forward and helping other women entrepreneurs do that same thing, collect themselves and their gifts and maybe shed some of the things that don't align with them anymore so that their business is an expression of that foundation, that solid, authentic place so that it's sustainable. They can clearly walk forward because they know what's important to them and how they best express that through their business to serve their clients. Because otherwise for me, it's not sustainable after some time. I think it does work for a while. I guess it worked for me for 15 years. So yeah, I guess it can definitely work. But I just don't know that is the design that we're supposed to be following. Yeah. And I think business is such a beautiful way for people to connect and people to serve others and, clients to serve, business owners by, a reciprocal activity. And I just think it's a beautiful medium to create community and serve each other while keeping the whole system going.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's so good. And I think, just knowing that you now have journeyed through this yourself, like how beautiful is that you, now have that you can weave into, this offering that you now have for women going forward, that you have that authenticity for you and have experienced that so that you can help them as well. I think in the conversation with Rachel a couple episodes ago, like she talked about how as a sober woman and becoming sober, like she was taught, if you have one more day of sobriety than somebody else, like you have something that you can offer them and give them. So I love that for you, that it's like you have navigated this, experienced this for yourself, and now are able to bring that into conversations and your coaching and brand strategy work with women going forward.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, I love that. So I want you to tell just a little bit about what Matchbox Women is, what it's called, and what that actually looks like.
So Matchbox Women is kind of the home community for my True You brand offering. Matchbox Women comes from a story that my grandmother told us kids when we were young. And it's essentially that one matchstick is easily broken, but as you add another matchstick and another, even those maybe thin, weak matchsticks on their own, they cannot be broken when together. And this was something that kind of flourished within my family, and I used as I had gone on other travels, growing up and feeling lonely, but I always knew that I was kind of a part of this group of women within my family, my cousins, my aunts, and my grandmother. And that kind of anchored and tied me, and I knew I wasn't alone. So that's really the basis for my offering of my True You brand services, where I help women define, discover, uncover their brand so that they can do their business and their work with confidence and clarity and sustainable. It's tied to their true purpose and gifts and calling. And so, yeah, that's what I offer.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. And just such a necessary and helpful business. And I love that it's bringing community together, which is so important. I love it. To kind of close this out, I have a new question that I want us to be thinking about. And so I'll pose it to you. Who or what is inspiring courage for you today?
I mentioned that typically I spend my quiet time doing Bible studies. And even though my business has evolved and I'm more aligned with my time capacity, I still am a busy mom and a wife and doing all the things. And while I try to not spend too much time on my phone, I have been using the Holy Bible app to use their daily refresh. And it has been absolutely wonderful. It's short. There's 3 little sections to it, but the prayer time, I guess it's very open-ended as opposed to the structure, like I mentioned about the Bible study. And so the prayer time, there's some background music, and it's before kids and dogs and stuff are up. So it's very simple, yet allows like a lot of depth and a lot of prayer. And I can, wake up not real pumped or motivated for the day.
That's right.
I can sit and listen to that. And it's like a guided prayer time. And it just gives me a lot of inspiration and courage to go, yep, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I can do this.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I'm ready.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Well, thank you for inspiring courage in us today. I'm so grateful for you to share some of your journey with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Friends, I will be the first to tell you that change is difficult. It can be so hard. But what I love that we've heard through this conversation with Erin is the peace and the resoluteness and the confidence and the joy that comes with having worked through this process of change and being tuned in enough to our hearts to know when our limiting beliefs or our fears are leading us in a bad direction, in a direction that is just not authentic to who we are and not who we were created to be. So I just really hope that you will hear that in this conversation, through this conversation with Erin today, and be encouraged through that. Please do take a moment to look at Erin's new website, matchboxwomen.com. And if there is an opportunity for you to work with her for your brand authenticity, your brand development, and marketing and communications, please don't hesitate to reach out to her. I know she would be delighted to work with you and to have the opportunity to help you to have that confidence, that clarity, that joy in the work that you are doing. So thank you so much for listening to this conversation with Erin today. What an honor to help you to cultivate confidence, courage, and joy in your life and work. Thank you so much for inviting me to journey with you. I look forward to being back with you next week, where we'll hear another story from a woman whom I love and am inspired by and look forward to learning from.